And now to discuss how U.S. President Donald Trump reignites a global controversy by doubling down on America's intentions towards Greenland, saying it can be done the easy way or the hard way, and by reportedly suggesting the possibility of further U.S. strikes in Nigeria. We unpack the implications of these remarks and what they mean for international relations. And we are now joined by former U.S. diplomat and Daily Maverick associate editor Brooks Spector. He joins us now via our video link. Mr. Spector, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. And now, of course, we've seen that U.S. President Donald Trump has been a very busy man and agitating a number of nations, and that being the issue of Iran, but also one of the latest ones is the issue around acquiring Greenland. Why does the U.S. President Donald Trump want to get a hold of Greenland?
Well, good evening. Good to be with you. Greenland has been something of an obsession with Donald Trump for years. It's not entirely clear why the United States and Denmark, which is the governing nation for the island, have had for many decades an agreement that the U.S. is allowed to establish as many as 3 military bases on the island. There is already one, the name of which is impossible for me to pronounce, but it starts with a P and ends with a T, so it's there on the map. It used to be called Thule, which is a lot easier to say. That's been there for quite a while. Greenland is strategic in a number of ways. Early in the post-war era, it was an important listening post to detect the possibility of then Soviet missiles or aircraft if they were coming to the U.S. A look at a globe tells you why that matters. And more recently, with the ever-growing possibility that the waters around Greenland will be warm sufficiently that it will be possible to have a passage through what they call the Northwest Passage from the North Atlantic around North America, passing Greenland and on into the Bering Straits and the Pacific. And the president, the U.S. president, keeps insisting that the island is being encircled by Chinese and Russian ships. Now, that is quite clearly a major exaggeration. There are some ships in the neighborhood sometimes, but certainly not a vast armada. The other reason, of course, is there are substantial mineral deposits in Greenland which would be worth exploring. The problem, of course, with that is they're buried under 2 miles of ice and snow, so it's not an easy mining expedition and never has been. But Donald Trump seems to approach Greenland as if it were a vast real estate deal in the middle of Manhattan and New York City, which is that if you don't own the property, you can't deal with it, develop it, or make use of it, which quite clearly flies in the face of the agreement between the 2 countries, Denmark and the United States. The problem is the more that this is being spoken about by Donald Trump, as in we'll take it one way or the other, the hard way, the easy way or the hard way, it puts increasing strain on the NATO alliance. The imagination reels with the idea that there would be military activities between 2 members of NATO.
And talking about the military action and where we find ourselves now during a geopolitical climate, how crucial is Greenland, particularly to U.S. President Donald Trump?
Well, as I say, in his mind, there's an obsessional quality to it that he's been thinking about it since, as far as I could track, his first comments about Greenland go back to 2016 or 2017. Obviously, it has strategic value. Obviously, it has mineral value. But at this point, really, given the way the agreements are between Denmark and the U.S., taking over the island is symbolic rather than practical or realistic. And for the life of me, I can't quite figure out just exactly why he thinks, that is Donald Trump thinks, that pushing forward on this now is the appropriate thing to do when there are so many other things in the world that really do matter.
Let's come to the issue of Iran now. Of course, we've seen the warnings coming out from the U.S. and warning of airstrikes that will come in to Iran. What are your expectations? Do you think that the U.S. will be moving in that direction anytime soon?
Well, I mean, part of the problem with the Trump rhetoric at this point is that when you listen to it, you really feel yourself discounting it. Almost as if there's a sign that says permanent clearance sale on the rhetoric. It says a lot of things. Not all of them come true, and many of them don't even come close. Having said that, it is in fact true that he did order an airstrike on the nuclear facilities in Iran. It is true that the capability to do something else is certainly there. And if in his mind the need is there for it to be done, it is possible such a thing could be ordered and carried out. But then the question becomes, against what would the airstrike be? Would it be against the government buildings in Tehran? Would it be against the presidential residence? Would it be against port or refinery or oil and natural gas shipping points? Would it be, the mind boggles trying to figure out what precisely would be the things that would be appropriate and symmetrical with the problem. But that doesn't entirely convince me that he might not order it. I mean, as I say, he did order a strike some months back. He did order a small strike in Nigeria, and we all know what happened in Venezuela.
All right, Mr. Spector, thank you so much there for that insight. That's former U.S. diplomat and Daily Maverick associate editor Brooks Spector there, just giving us a synopsis of some of the issues under U.S. President Donald Trump and, of course, some of the threats to other nations.